Hello everyone and welcome back to Sendik's Weather channel. Today we are looking at the latest from the models for the next couple of weeks as we normally would. We've got a few extra features to show today, as you'll see evident on your screen at the moment. I've actually brought up something different to start with. This is normally something that we normally focus on during the winter months, but it also has a lot of relevance during the summer, but some of you might not realise it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the NAO, it's the North Atlantic Oscillation. So if it is in a negative phase, high pressure is positioned to our west or northwest towards Greenland usually, or in the Atlantic. Whenever that happens during the winter, everyone gets really excited because that can cause colder weather to return to the UK or to enter from the north to the UK. If you look at the current conditions, that high pressure is currently positioned to our west, which is indicative of a negative NAO. But if we go back to our chart, you can see what is expected to happen is that we are expected to stay slightly negative for the next few days, but then things seem to return into the longer term, so into the end of August, start of September, to around or a slightly above average positive NAO. Now, as a lot of you will know, it's been very dry recently. There's been droughts, there's been wildfires, there's been lots of heat waves, but what you can expect is if it goes into a positive phase, usually that's indicative of high pressure sitting to our south. So it's retreating from our northwest or just to our north, and it's retreating further southwards, which may allow cooler low pressure systems to move in from off the Atlantic. And as you'll see from today, the first week of September is slightly more likely than not to see areas of low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic. But anyway, I just thought I'd show that as a little bit of an interesting point. And let's get on with the chart. So, of course, as we normally would, we're going to be looking at the GFS to start with. Again, as I've just mentioned, high pressure is positioned to our northwest towards Iceland, and winds are in from an easterly direction to start off with. That high pressure does begin to weaken and just sits over and to the south of the country, keeping things mostly dry, and that milder weather begins to retreat slightly. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty with this, as you'll see from a few frames before. So on Saturday, the 23rd of August, this really vigorous low pressure is actually Hurricane Erin. Obviously, as it moves into the Atlantic and gets closer to the UK, it becomes an ex-hurricane. But as you can see with this GFS run, fades out and dissipates Hurricane Erin, so it actually just becomes an area of low pressure. But it even dissipates before it even reaches anywhere near our shores. This other area of low pressure forms, though, just out to our west by Monday, and this, if we see low pressure forming to our west like this, we could see another spell of warmer weather. So a lot of uncertainty with this. But with this GFS run, with that low pressure sat out to our northwest, it allows a southwesterly flow to take over. High pressure's positioned to our southeast and low pressure's out to our northwest. Winds going to a southerly direction, so turning things warmer, but most unsettled in the north, closer to the weakened heights. So could be a few showers. But as you can see from this GFS run, the heights begin to retreat to our east and build to our west, indicative of that a positive NAO signal. So we actually revert into the final frames of August into more of an Atlantic-driven westerly flow. So we've turned things more definitively unsettled, particularly in the north, by around the 30th of August. So things do turn more unsettled. And as you can see, remaining unsettled further northwards, still pretty dry in the south, but even on the 1st of September, we've got occluded weather front moving in. That's going to bring some rain even into the south at this point, and that would allow showers to impact the UK for the first time in absolutely ages through much of the country. It's been very dry recently here. The reservoirs are at 39% capacity, pretty low, I must say, for the time of year. But anyway, I'm not talking about that today. We're talking about the weather. On to the next chart, the GM. Let's see how that compares. High pressure sits out to our northwest, winds in from a northeasterly direction. That high pressure kind of topples up the country, and we're into more of a high pressure just to our north with this one, barely holds on to our north, keeping things mostly dry. There's Erin, so the GM keeps it more developed, but it goes into Spain and Portugal and becomes an area of low pressure that could bring some heavy rain to Spain and Portugal, maybe thundery, depending on the air masses. Actually does look quite thundery with that warm air aloft. We're cooling down a little bit, winds in from a gentle easterly direction. But with this run, the pressure gradients are lower, so maybe a few more showers around, but again, still mostly dominated by high pressure, indicative of a negative NAO signal because the heights are still strong towards the northeast and also to our west. So a bit of a complicated pattern with this, but it does look like at the last frame that area of low pressure is going to slip through the country, which could bring the first signs of unsettled weather. All to play for though. Looking finally at the ECM, high pressure again set out to our northwest, begins to move and slightly topple. Does take a bit of time though, but it's still sat to our north with this ECM run. Low pressure, there's Erin by the way. An area of low pressure just sits to our south and actually brings up more of a southeasterly direction wind by the 25th of August, so 60 days away. Actually turns it a little bit warmer again. And then you can see by day 9, that low pressure of Erin is actually going well to our south, and that is actually becoming a bit of a diver low, as I like to call it. And that would encourage warmer winds from the south on the back edge of that area of low pressure. My apologies about that. But yeah, it would encourage south or southeasterly winds on the back edge of that low. You've got to always remember as well with these storms that the strongest winds are in the south, or the southern edge, the southern flank of the area of low pressure or developed area of low pressure. With this, though, again, it's a little bit less developed and it's way further to our south. So a lot of uncertainty with this. It's still a long way away, very uncertain and unreliable. Don't take too much serious from these models at this stage. But we could see a return of warmer weather, sadly, into the final days of August. But again, lots of uncertainty, all to play for. Looking at the ensembles, if we have a look at London, and we're going to move it so we can actually see what we're looking at for a change. You can see that, again, we are looking around a slightly below average. Well, we're above average in London at the moment, but going slightly below average into the next couple of days, staying around for a couple of days, before things look to return around to slightly above average. Again, a few warm, anomalous runs are in the mix there. Slightly more support than there was a few days ago, but nothing too extreme going on there. Into the longer term, things look to turn more definitively unsettled, possibly. But again, it's not nothing too ridiculous or out the question, out the ordinary, but we are in the south. Any rainfall is welcome, I'm sure. If we go further north to, I don't know, Aberdeen, you can see again around average at the moment, slightly below into the next couple of days, around 21st to 23rd, but then returning definitively above average into the 3rd and the 4th and final week of August. Into the longer term, the start of September, the first few days, you can see that things look slightly below average, but not too much deviation from the long-term average. So therefore, summarising everything, a little bit cooler than average to start with, but things return a little bit above average into the 3rd and 4th week of August, before maybe things will see a change and we could see temperatures return to slightly below average into the start of September, or near normal, probably better summarised. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video as well, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate all of your continued support, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.